Welcome to Inside the Program, brought to you by the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm your host, as always, Justin Wells. Joining me, as always, is Eric Nalin, the managing publisher at IT. Like this video, subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel before you do anything else. Help us climb to that 8,000 mark. We really do appreciate you helping us build this community. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. If you'll use the promo code IT1, you get 2 months of premium access for only $1. That will get you into fall workouts, a little bit of scrimmage stuff, the real good stuff right before the season starts for 2024. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. Always a pleasure to be joined by Eric here. And we've got a big weekend, my man. There are, they had 3 official visit weekends, 2 previous official visit weekends. 10, like 6 or 7 guys the first time, about a dozen the second time. They're rolling it deep this weekend, Eric. Let's go talk. We're going to talk about that. You did some percentages at Inside Texas. Be sure and check that article out. But we're going to lay it out for you today, fans. So buckle up. Let's get started. We're just going to jump right into it with the receivers and tight ends, because right now those are 2 of the most important factors on offense. Jaime Ffrench and Kaliq Lockett, 2 5-stars. They're headed this way to Austin today. Lay it out why you think you have those percentages where you've got them.
Yeah, I started that percentages piece by saying the staff is actually going to have a little wind at their back with so many committed prospects in town this week. And obviously it's notable with Ffrench and Lockett coming in that their potential quarterback, KJ Lacey, will also be in town. Lacey just spent some time with Ffrench at Elite 11. Texas has felt good about Ffrench for quite a while, even before I think the public caught on to it. Once we were in Nashville and Ffrench was interviewing with a lot of people, everybody realized, oh, wow, Texas is the leader. I think he publicly stated Texas was the leader then. We've been feeling good, based on Texas sources, weeks before that. I think he had an RPM in before even Nashville as well. There's been a lot of I think there's been a little bit of misdirection. He's made some visits since that Nashville trip where it became known that Texas was the leader. So I think there might be the assumption that some momentum was lost by Texas, but we don't feel that way at IT. We've got it at 80%. That's kind of a group percentage. Everybody pulling in their information together. We're quite high on UT. And 80 might seem a little low, but the way I do it, 90% is as high as I'll go, just because you have to leave 10% variance just for how up and down recruiting can go, how unpredictable recruiting can be. So 80% is pretty dang high.
I agree with that. I'm in the 75%, 80 range with Ffrench as well. I think Ohio State is the one factor I'm watching there, because they're going to try to get, no matter what he does when he decides in late August, they're going to try to get him on campus for that OV. You got to factor that in. Yeah. Kaliq Lockett's been to Florida State, Texas A&M. Alabama just offered. They're in the mix. You got him at 70%. I would probably actually have him in the 70, 75% in my estimation. Why those percentages for Kaliq?
Well, key with understanding Lockett was going to be his willingness to compete and go into a situation where he might have to share the football. He could go be a number 1 at a number of schools, or he can come in and be a co-number 1 at Texas with Ffrench, and then potentially to Corey and Moore. Texas obviously has no commitments from those guys or any receivers. But it just looks that way. Everybody knows that there's a good potential that they're going to have to share the ball. Are they okay with that? Yeah. Do they understand the benefit of that? Having 3 uncoverable guys on the field, somebody's always going to be open. These guys seem to understand that. They're willing to compete. Once we got a good understanding and a feeling for Kaliq's willingness to compete, optimism was restored in that recruitment, and I've got him at 70%. I still feel like it's going to get done. And these are percentages, it must be said, these are percentages before their visit. This is before they've even got the greatest and strongest pitch, the most cohesive and coherent pitch that they've gotten yet from Texas. They're going to get this weekend. So these are pretty optimistic percentages before the visit.
And for all the viewers, Eric also does a post official visit percentages because of the intel we gather from those guys. And that always is something to look forward to at InsideTexas.com. Come see us. I know the defensive linemen are important, Eric. I really do. It may not be as important as Nick Townsend at tight end. Like there's an equal thing there right now. Like this guy is important. He was important before Kade Armstrong committed to A&M last weekend. You got him at 75%. This is a recruitment that I think fans need to watch very closely. You're really keyed in with DeCaney and these guys. Tell me about Nick Townsend.
Well, yeah, D tackle, they're going to have like 3 or 4 guys committed, right? Probably 4. So, but if you went on an individual basis, where tight end is a much smaller room, and Nick Townsend is to me, he's a singular talent. I think there's a conversation for him to be a 5-star. Certainly, I think he's a top 50 player in the country. Yeah, he's extremely important. And like you mentioned, Armstrong committing to Texas A&M while Nick Townsend was on his official visit there. I think that helps Texas quite a bit. I was never really worried about A&M though. To me, the noise has been Alabama ever since he took that spring Alabama visit. They jumped right in. They're pursuing extremely hard. And they've got a good pitch. Kalen DeBoer's got it going. And like I've mentioned on this show and on team many times, the Alabama ecosystem is bought in and trying to keep that dynasty alive. So they're being very aggressive. All that said, man, I think he's always wanted to go to Texas. The first time I talked to him last January, standing outside the parking lot of Intramurals of Junior Day, man, his face was aglow talking about Texas, how I can replace Jatavian Sanders. He sees himself similarly. They're built similar. Nick is better put together than Jatavian was at the same stage. But their game is similar. So they have a very good way to sell them based on game tape. I'm being a little optimistic here. I just don't see that Texas can lose it. So I've got them at 75%. Alabama is maybe more of a credible threat than I'm giving them credit for. Jeff Banks is a popular guy in the Decaney halls. I just don't see a way that Texas can lose it after missing on Armstrong last week.
Hey, you only live once, Eric. And so we need to be optimistic in the Sark era. I think he's proven. I think he's worth that. And 5-star handshake, no doubt.
Oh man, yeah, he crushes me.
Yeah, he's got some Adrian Peterson level handshake materials. I'll tell you who else is a 5-star material. That's Andre the Lawyer. This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. And if you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their insurance cases, from workplace injuries to on the job to 18-wheeler accidents, any slip and falls. Don't let insurance tell you what the claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer is here to fight for you. This guy is going to throw hands. He is a 5-star. Let him help you out. His principal office is in Dallas, Texas, where they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call Andre the Lawyer at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Andre the Lawyer. All right. Usually at this time, we would be talking about a lot of offensive linemen. There's really only one. There's a lot of O-linemen coming in this weekend, but they're all committed except for one. The one on the big board. The number one, the 5-star, the must get, the one you put in an RPM for a while back, Michael Fasusi. I'm here to tell you, I'm digging these percentages. I would even venture to go up a little bit, but I do know we have to be cognizant of OU and Texas A&M and all those other things. Talk to me about Michael Fasusi, Louisville, Texas.
Yeah, once Flood really hones in on a guy, especially when he does it really early in the process, you have to like their chances. To me, the same could be said for John Turntine next year in the 2026 cycle, another 5-star. Like, I think Charlie already put an RPM for him. It's the same story here. Flood identified him extremely early, a very, very good identification, by the way.
Yes.
He has a very good understanding of where this player's body is going to go in the next couple of years. I think he's got a gift for that, and that helps him get an early jump on these guys. And they've been all over Fasusi for a very long time. This is a key weekend coming in with the whole family. A&M has put forth a very good effort. At times, OU earlier in the spring put forth an effort. I was always fading at OU. I never saw that. I'm not really seeing A&M, even though that they are putting up a good fight. You got to give them credit. They're trying hard. I just don't see them going anywhere else other than Texas. And now that I look at it, 75% is a little low.
But it's okay to be optimistic, but we got to be cautiously optimistic. Michael Fasusi is definitely the Turntine RPM was your boy.
Oh, okay.
Now, I threw that one down, but that was a group effort. That was a team effort RPM on that one, man. We got some good intel on that one.
Hey, there's always that one moment where I'm like, okay, that guy's just going to Texas. And it was when Turntine's dad said, I think he said he was number 6 in his class after the junior day. I was like, all right, that guy's going to Texas.
Yeah. You talk about a profile. All right, we're going to flip to the defensive side. As important as Nick Townsend and tight end is, this defensive line, this is what everybody asks about all the time. Yeah. New defensive line coach Kenny Baker, got his boots on the ground, trying to build up some relationships, trying to catch up with a lot of what Bo Davis in the previous regime had kind of extended. And we're going to start with Zion Williams, the Lufkin monster, about 6'5", 320. You've got him at 40%, and I think that's actually pretty well. The biggest thing with Zion is going to be what his percentage is after this official visit, because this decision's coming July 4th, and we have a pretty good idea where he's leaning What's the latest you know on Zion?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a good outcome for this to be a coin flip after the weekend. I'm not sure it's going to get there, but that could be a realistic goal for Texas to have this as a coin flip, leaving on Monday morning. Yeah, it's just Bo Davis. Very early start on it. As you pointed out a million times, Williams is a relationships-oriented kid. We see this kid as being so important. I've gone to Lufkin a couple times. You've been to Lufkin a million times to do homework on this. Amazing kid. You can really see him profiling to Texas. I think if there's hope this weekend, you can see it would be that him, maybe coming to a realization, hey, this is a good place for me. I think that's possible. But, Kenny Baker's making up ground. I think he's done well in the last month or two. But he's going to have to keep pushing. This might be one that they have to keep recruiting, even if he does commit elsewhere. He's set to announce on July 4th, like Kelvin Banks a couple of years ago. Hey, that was a bad July 4th, but look how December turned out. Got fireworks about 4 months later. That could be the case here with Zion, but we'll see. They just got to keep hacking at it, and they will. If he commits to LSU, they'll continue recruiting him, and see how it plays out in the very end. It's what happens in December that matters more than what happens in July.
And we've been told they're going to recruit this guy through the whistle up to National Signing Day. They're going to, and Williams is an impressionable kid, and so I think there's plenty of time to keep gathering that relationship and getting closer. If Williams is 1A, DJ Sanders is 1B. And this guy, and I think Sanders, I was talking to a producer before the show, I think Sanders has more upside athletically. I think he's got another gear as well whenever he really turns it on. Your percentages are good. I like that. And after some of the stuff we've talked about over the last few days, I kind of think that it could be a little bit higher. Explain, and I'll drop a little bit of what I think, but this has been your recruitment. You've been all over this. Tell me about 65% for DJ Sanders.
Yeah, I think he does have more athletic upside than Zion, certainly, but Zion has a higher floor because, Zion's going to be 335 pounds. And it's going to be well proportioned. It's just going to be hard to move. It's got this giant ability to anchor, size 18 feet, big caboose. That guy's going to be hard to move. So that sets a high floor, and he's a high character kid. DJ's got a little bit more work ahead of him. Needs to refine technically, but he's got a bounce in his step. He can move. Watch him. His huddle film is funny. He's just peeling the ball away from ball carriers and running it back to the end zone, I think at least on 2 plays. And you can really see that sort of athleticism. Not as athletic as somebody that grew up down the road from him, Malcolm Brown, but athletically somewhat similar to Malcolm Brown, no doubt about it. High upside. I got him at 65%. The initial read on him was it was going to come down to Texas and A&M. Right now, I think Michigan is making a push. His beloved uncle lives up in Detroit, not too far, accompanied them on the trip to Michigan. I think that helps out Michigan's cause for sure. At the end of the day, I just can't see him going that far from home. He's got a big family. I think those people are going to want to jump in the car and go see him rather than jump in the car to go to the airport. They got to, if you're in Belleville, you got to jump in the car just to go to the airport. By the time you're at the airport, you could have been in Austin. So I think it's going to be Texas. I got him at 65%. And, you're right. And again, that's before the visit. I think Kenny Baker, this is probably Kenny Baker's best job of recruiting so far as building the relationship.
Absolutely. And we know how close he's gotten with his parents, specifically his mother. And like I told you the other day, if he stays close, I think it's Texas. If he decides to leave home, I think it's Michigan. And I think that's kind of where it boils down to. Linebacker, Riley Pettijohn came last weekend, hit all the marks. Still a Texas lean. We feel comfortable about that. Elijah Barnes is already in the boat. He jumped in early, like almost 2 months ago. They're hosting a guy out of California in Madden Faraimo. Now, this is a kid that Texas we've learned more about in the last couple months. This was a kind of a newer name, but this is basically Johnny Nansen and PK on the West Coast being thorough and knowing a lot of their guys. 25% is a little low. But that's only because we don't have a lot of intel there. It's hard to get a read on this kid sometimes. Plus, Notre Dame, since that official visit, it has been a slew of crystal ball and predictions to Notre Dame, so much so that Ohio State canceled the OV. Texas kept theirs. What kind of shot does Texas have with Faraimo?
Well, 25% might be high based on. I'm giving some benefit of the doubt to Nansen here, and maybe he has something up his sleeve. He's going to know how to connect with the kid. He can speak the language. West Coast guy. He's a good player. It would be awesome if they can get him. Big kid too. Madden talks to Notre Dame guys a lot, and he doesn't talk to anybody else, and that's one of those early tells that you have. When I can get a kid on the phone with ease, that tells me a lot. When it's a struggle, that tells you a lot as well. Some of these kids, we're going to talk about one in a minute that I can get on the phone anytime. He's on his way to Austin right now. Other kids, it's not so easy. So that's usually a tell.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Texas is going to shoot their shot. and they're going to just play the long game like Sark does.
Right.
And that's part of it. Bring in guys. You never know. See how it works out. They did midweeks this week with guys similar like that, especially like a Dijon Lee. Shoot your shot. See what you got.
Right.
So they got some momentum. Let's finish it up in the secondary. There's three pretty big names coming in, and all three of importance. Let's begin with Devin Williams. He's out of Buford, Georgia, and he's also an Auburn commit. So this is an SEC recruitment through and through. Unbelievable tape. Like, this kid is, I think, very underrated. I know once his name popped up, you became a big fan of him. You connected with him early. You got him at 25%, which I think is probably right. This could be the weekend that changes those percentages. What's your latest on Williams?
Yeah, you have to remember some of these recruitments are connected to each other. We're going to talk about Aidan Anding in a minute, and I wonder if these two are somewhat linked. But what I like about Devin Williams is, Isaiah Bond's going to be there to host him. Or I'm not saying host him, but he'll be there to hang out with him. Isaiah was a senior when Devin was a freshman. They know each other. People joke about Devin being the next Isaiah as far as his speed. 10-6 guy's a sophomore. He can get it. Very, very athletic tape. Very athletic tape. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but, man, he gets off the ground and attacks the ball. Very athletic kid. Auburn was smart. They got him on campus again before his visit to Texas, and I think that's gonna help him out. If Texas is not all in on here, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If they half step, the flip is not going to happen. I'm curious to see how it goes. There's definitely some slack in this one. When I revise these percentages on Monday, this could be one that bounces up considerably. We had a number of guys last week that bounced quite a bit, and guys the week before. So this could be one we're talking about a little different on Monday, but right now I've got him at 25.
Yeah, bird dogging this one because I think this kid has a ton of upside, and let's see what Austin can offer. The last two are two that we feel really, really confident about. Let's start with Kade Phillips. He's kind of the Swiss Army knife, can play corner, can play nickel, can play safety, does a little bit of everything. And we have both been on the record as saying we should have been building this kid up a long time before we actually did.
Yeah.
He comes to Austin in April and he was assured by Sarkisian that he's a priority. They've got to have you kind of guy. And now it looks like that's all going to be culminating. I know LSU's in the mix. You got him at 80%. I love that percentage. Lay it on me with Kade.
Yeah, I didn't hit recruiting as hard last year as I did this year for reasons as people can glean. But I saw him at January camp, and I had to ask him, who the hell is that kid? I had no idea who he was. It's just the length. He went out to play the ball in a drill, and his arms just kept going and going and going. It's like, who the hell is that? And I went up and talked to him right then and there. Had a feeling that Texas was going to be all over him if they weren't already. I hadn't heard his name come up for Texas. Obviously, offered a month or two later. And it's been off and running for UT ever since. A&M's been in the picture at times. They're not really in it anymore. LSU is in it. LSU's recruiting him more as a corner, whereas Texas is telling him, hey, we like you at safety. However, your length, your versatility, and your athleticism, if you get here and you start locking up guys in coverage, we'll move you. Just because you start off at safety doesn't mean we'll keep you at safety. So he does like hearing that. He's in the car on the way. He's in the private car on the way to his official visit right now. As we film this, it's 11 o'clock Central Time. He's athletic. I like. He's got an extremely interesting athletic profile. 24-foot long jump, 21.5, 200. Not a lot of guys like that walking around. Got him at 80%. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that Texas is going into Fort Bend. They're not neglecting that area, big time area. We know how much the family.
Him and Caleb Chester are pretty good buddies, and I feel like they're going to be suiting up in the same secondary at some point.
Yeah, and if they bring Isaiah Williams with the next class, I'll be giddy. Aidan Anding, that's who we're going to finish with, and these are some of the highest percentages on this board, my man. Why are you so confident in Aidan Anding? Tell everybody. I know why, but why don't you tell the viewers?
Well, Texas has prioritized them since they offered them earlier in the spring. And Texas was one of his first really big offers. He kind of flew under the radar despite being a three-sport athlete. Very good basketball player, good track times, not amazing track times, but good solid track times. Who knows how much he actually puts forth it? I think he's kind of just rolling out there and running. But he's got excellent play speed, good quickness, blanket coverage in the field corner as a field corner. Good ball skills. It just seems like one of those guys like Jason Verrett that TCU would land out of nowhere. They got Verrett out of some random junior college in California. I think Aidan Anding's flying under the radar and will be somewhat random, especially when this class is done and put together. I think he's going to be flying under the radar. Very good all-around player, good movement skills for the position, good mindset for the position. I think Texas is all over it. They do really well in Louisiana. Got him at 85%.
That's some solid stuff. I talked to him, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, and I'm with you. I feel confident. Texas was there early because LSU's been coming on as of late. Corey Raymond's calling him as of late. And a lot of people just assume once LSU gets involved in a recruitment with an in-state kid, you got to either watch or back off. Well, it turns out Texas it's not going to matter as much. Terry Joseph did such a good job on this recruitment. I think they've separated from even the LSU in-state phenomenon.
Yeah, those northern Louisiana kids, like James Simon, it's easy to get those northern Louisiana kids away from. It's kind of like North Texas. The further you go north, the more likely they like OU. The same thing here, where they're a little bit more open.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, the best coverage you can find of all these official visitors is at InsideTexas.com. Whether it be his percentages post, the recruiting humidor, our social slant, which identifies everything going on during the day when they arrive in Austin on the 40 acres on a Friday. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. Use the promo code IT1. And that's going to get you 2 months for only $1. That gets you all the access, premium, all the good stuff, and the secret email, all for $1. IT1 at InsideTexas.com. Eric, I sure do appreciate it. Fans and viewers, we sure do appreciate you making us a part of your day. And thank you again for joining us on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.